I just appreciate everybody watching.
Watch him throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
Woo, excuse me, it's my bad. Over here being unprofessional. My bad, man. Sipping on some wine I don't even know the name of. Little tot. Welcome back to another episode of the Trap or Die podcast. Provided to you by 214 Media. You know who I am, man. I am your host, Mual, Hen Dog Mual. And tonight, I took a picture of it. Hold on, give me 2 seconds. And tonight, I am Carpenetto Chianti Mo. Yeah. I don't even know what that means. It's an Italian wine. It's an Italian wine. But with all that being said, let's get the administrative items out of the way, man. If you are new to the Trap or Die podcast, if you are just checking in, if you haven't done so yet, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's truly appreciated if you're on the YouTube side. If you are on the Twitch side, man, make sure you hit that follow button over there, man. And keep things going on that side, man. I know everybody that migrated over to YouTube at this point, but we're going to keep it pushing for all the Twitch followers on that side. So definitely appreciate everybody that's checking in. Let's get the fellas in this thing right quick. The fellas just checking in. Let's get Age in this thing right quick. Let's get Dre up in this thing right quick. The fellas in here right now. AJ, Dre, good afternoon. How y'all boys feeling? I'll stop there because I have a follow-up. So how y'all feeling, man?
But AJ might as well get his shit off now because I don't think he's gonna be talking too much during this episode.
Man, I ain't really had much to say anyways. Shitty team, shitty quarterbacks.
Oh, hold on, man. We can't look. We can't be. We need to have the energy up, bro. We ain't about to start the show. We 3 minutes live. We 3 minutes starting in the show, and we talking, killing the energy already. No, we're not killing the energy.
AJ was talking about that shit yesterday.
I was probably drunk, so I saw my notifications. I ain't read shit though. I ain't gonna lie to you.
You was drunk on a Tuesday, on a Monday?
Oh, absolutely.
God damn, Mo.
Absolutely. But yeah, so Dre, how you feeling before I check in? Before we get to this Jim Irsay thing, we usually don't touch on that stuff, but today I think it's a good opportunity to spend a couple minutes on that thing right quick.
Shit, I'm feeling good. I mean, as far as the Jim Irsay thing, I know we about to talk about that. It's just good to see someone say something. I mean, hopefully these dominoes keep falling. But that got my mood up right now. I mean, because it's at least something. So I'm feeling pretty good, man.
Yeah, I feel like everything this week has been good. Like the Commanders didn't play on Sunday, right? I said this on the morning show yesterday. I got to sit back, relax, kick my feet up, bro. Watch football. We ain't had to worry about no show. Although we do appreciate everybody that checks in and fucks with us from that standpoint. But you know what I'm saying? Get to kick our feet up and ain't had to worry about. It's 8 hours of uninterrupted football, and just watch football all day long, and even with the nightcap. In that aspect too. So unfortunately, the Dallas Cowboys did me dirty. I had my money on them from like Wednesday, and I felt like a fool after that. But even that Monday went on. You know, Cowboys. Yeah, look, hey, I look. It's NFC East can do some tricks for you. The Giants did cover for me though. I had the Giants plus the 5 against the Ravens. Or plus 6.5. They came through. Ain't touching the Commanders. I don't think no time soon. But then we got the Monday night game, boring game, Rush's ass. AJ, I know you don't like to hear that, but we got to acknowledge the fact that his head coach is ass.
Oh, AJ.
He's ass too. That's the problem.
You're right. And Chargers head coach's ass as well.
Hey, that's the problem. You know what I'm saying? They all bad. So when you got a bad quarterback and a bad head coach, what you think gonna happen? You got a bad team. But nah, anyway, like Monday Night Football, bro, you know what I'm saying? Dealing with that. And then obviously the news today with 2 things. Actually, Carson Wentz news came out yesterday. And then you had the Jim Irsay news come out today. And like you said, Dre, you got somebody put it on record. I'm in the same boat, man. Put somebody stand on that shit. Like no more anonymous quotes, none of that. And I think for what it means for all of us, I wouldn't dig too much into it yet. Like there's so many more dominoes that has to take place. The owners meeting hasn't taken place. Like the closed doors owner meeting hasn't taken place just yet in New York. They are meeting right now, like the overall like setting, but the owners meeting hasn't really officially took place yet. So who knows what that's going to come out of or what's going to make out of that. But ultimately, I think for one owner to get the ball rolling on this whole conversation, I don't know where it's going to lead to, and I'm not going to sit here and give the optimistic look. I just appreciate the fact that somebody was able to say, hey, I ain't about to beat around the bush no more. I'm going to let everybody know where I stand. I'm going to let the public know where I stand. And if these owners want to follow suit, y'all know who y'all can get behind now because y'all know where I stand. So I'm interested, man. It's a great storyline because it's never happened before.
And for me, to add on to that, with Irsay, I know, a lot of us, we talk about Irsay being drug addict, this, that, and the third. I mean, yeah, he's probably all of that. But in this case, I feel like he's the crazy guy that was going to say it publicly, publicly what a lot of people were thinking. And you see that with a lot of the reporters that's coming out now to say Jim Irsay isn't the only one thinking this. And for me, I like to kind of pick up on little hints and notes. And one of the things I picked up on, and I mentioned that on Twitter, is that he just randomly name dropped Robert Kraft in that whole little thing about Dan Snyder for no reason. I mean, no one was talking about Kraft. He just mentioned, yeah, we owners, we stick together. We have good relationships. And, I just went to Kraft's wedding and I bought him a gift. And then he goes back to talking about Dan Snyder possibly being removed. So that to me says that, he might got a big name in Kraft in his pocket, or not in his pocket, but in these are like they're cohesive with this thought that Snyder has to be removed. And if Kraft is a name that's probably under that wing, then you got to think that there's more owners out there, which is what Jim Irsay was kind of alluding to when he said, yeah, he thinks that they could get the 24 votes that they need. I mean, because they may be chattering amongst each other. Like Dan, I mean, his biggest friend is Jerry Jones. But as the ESPN report said last week, they don't know if Jerry Jones can protect him anymore. So, if Jerry Jones can't protect him anymore, you can't imagine Snyder having more than 6 or 7 friends, which he needs more than 7 friends to be able to keep this team or not be voted out. So I think there's a little bit of smoke going on right now.
My man K-Dot and Rob checking in. What's going on, fellas? K-Dot, K and B on Twitter. Irsay publicly discussing Dan was the best thing to happen for our franchise in years. Rob mentioned, well, you guys weren't expecting this topic for tonight. To be honest with you, I still, even when I got live, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna talk about it or bring it up, but shit, hey, might as well, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, see what we can diverse or come to grips with this conversation. And Drake, to your point, but matter of fact, before I continue, AJ, you got something to add in because I was gonna follow it.
No, sir.
But
I'm
to
not
your
talking
point,
about no NFL owners, bro.
Very, very, very valid point. So I guess I'll this will be the last thing, and we can transition to some football. Smart man. My thing is with this whole situation. You mentioned Kraft, and I even think about like the conversation earlier today before Jim said what he said. Now I'm gonna mess up the quote, so I'm gonna just give it like a synopsis. I remember like Jerry Jones saying that he essentially still supports Dan. Like that was the sentiment from like a quote that I saw. And he said that publicly, and I can try and find it after this, even though we're about to move on to some football, but. He had said something, and my point of bringing that up is I don't even think it was. I think it was more so like a what's the word? An olive branch, or I think the olive branch thing. Like you just giving it to that guy. Like here, man, this is the last thing I'm gonna do for you, but you know what I'm saying? I'm cool. I ain't got no issues with you, but at the same time, it's the only thing I got for you, bro. And I ain't going no further. I ain't doing nothing else, but I'll say this much for you, and that's the end all be all with us. But ultimately, like if they force a vote, and I'm forced to pick sides, I'm not picking your side when it comes down to voting. I'm gonna just let you know that right now. But ultimately, like this thing reminds me like a game of Succession. Like if I don't know if y'all watched that show, and I've been saying that for like the past week and some change now since that story come out. It's impossible to really sit here and say, like, with all these millions and billions that these guys have, and the politicking that they're doing behind closed doors to try to really figure out how the hell they can get Dan Snyder out. I forgot the pop's name, the OG, like the CEO and founder of the company that revolves in Succession. But Dan Snyder is that guy. It's like he has all the answers right now, apparently, that everybody is trying to throw his way. Like, he has every answer to every single issue or allegation and everything going his way. And I don't know, man. I think the walls are closing in, but ultimately I think that it just comes down to how much time does he have left. And I think that's the bottom line with that ESPN thing. And it was always about him stalling, but I don't know, man. If they force his issue this week, then his time may have been shorter than we all imagine.
Yeah, let's just hope, man. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Like I said, we don't know. Yeah.
I guess I will chime in real quick.
Oh, here we go.
The only thing I really can say is, like, I'm not surprised someone spoke on it. I just think that there's not another owners meeting until like March. So after this one, I don't believe there's another one until March. So I guess for the future, it could matter. Or unless, like, some of these stories end up becoming public, like the reports and everything start becoming public, then maybe they make an emergency vote. But I guess, I don't know. Part of me feels like, can Snyder really, if he really thinks after today's owners meetings that he could possibly get voted out, does he make a change at head coach next year? I mean, not next year. Well, for next year. Like, that's the only thing that I'm thinking about. Other than that, I mean, I can't really state too much about ownership because, I mean, I work in the industry. I work with these owners. I have players that, play for these teams. So it's just like, I really can't say too much. But, I mean, I'm just surprised that Irsay was the one to voice his concern. And I would probably say that others in that room feel the same damn way, and it's probably a majority. They just didn't take vote today.
Well, AJ, I wanted to comment on what you said about the head coach, and I honestly think that Snyder's hands probably will be tied with the Ron Rivera situation. I don't know if he would make that move now when he has to, save his ass at this point. Because his biggest thing right now, I think the only card he has left to play with the owners and get them back on his side, Snyder has to get a stadium deal done soon. Like, I mean, we're talking soon, like before those owners meetings in March. And I mean, I know Irsay mentioned, they're still waiting on the Mary, whatever her name is, investigation to go through to see what they're going to do. But I think that stadium thing is going to be a big thing too. And something I heard earlier today that made sense too, and I thought about it and I was like, man, this is something, is that Snyder, if he was to fire Ron, he would have to probably clean slate of the front office guys that Ron brought in too and pay all of those guys as well as pay Ron Rivera what's owed to him. And like I said, with this whole investigation thing and him having to make this stadium deal a priority, I'm not so sure he would be so anxious to fire Ron right now.
So, fellas, I'm going to close it out with a couple quotes because the ownership meetings are still going. So apparently there's two things to close out. Three things, actually. So first one, Jerry Jones asked about Dan Snyder. Quote, it's a media issue more than an ownership issue. It's the first thing. And then you have Robert Kraft. First off, I need to know who fumbled this question because he or she screwed up big time asking this man this question. They asked Robert Kraft what he thinks of the other owners thinking about Dan Snyder, and he gave a layup of an answer. You're going to have to ask them. Why not ask Robert Kraft how he feels about Dan Snyder? Who fumbled the question? It was very simple. Okay, and then lastly, Dan Snyder sent out a letter just about like 5 minutes ago since we were talking to the other owners today. So I guess it is important just to kind of get that balance. Oh, Lord, this is actually going to be hilarious to read. All right, so stick with me, y'all. He said, Dear unaddressed, I hope that you and your family are doing well. I would like to Hold on, bro. I know what to do. This is gonna be much easier because nobody wants to sit here and watch me read. Let's go ahead and do this in a more effective manner. All right, boom.
Hey man, you might as well read that shit, bro.
Yeah. We all gonna read today. We all reading.
Because it's probably gonna be too small on the screen.
Nah, trust me, brother. All right, boom. Don't work.
Definitely look like Scribble Scrabble to me.
God damn it! All right, let's try this again. How does it look now? I don't know. Anyway, I hope that you and your family doing. I got you. I would like to address a recent ESPN article that contains false and malicious statements about the Washington Commanders, our management team, and me and my family. It is particularly shameful for the ESPN to diminish the very real accomplishments of our president, Jason Wright, who ESPN alleges was placed at the Commanders by the league and has no power to make real change. I know you know this to be false. Unfortunately, ESPN ignored our efforts to correct the many falsehoods in their article before its publication. There is one allegation in the ESPN article that I feel is important to address immediately. The article cited unnamed sources who said they've been told that Snyder instructed his law firms to hire private investigators to look into the other owners and Commissioner Goodell. That is patently false and intended to erode the trust and goodwill between owners that I take quite seriously. I've never hired any private investigator to look into any owner or the commissioner. I've never instructed or authorized my lawyers to hire any private investigator on my behalf for any such purpose, and I never would. While we are all fierce competitors on the field, we are part of this organization because we love football. Our teams and our fans have the privilege to own franchise, and American sports is something I know none of us take for granted. Falsehoods and lies being spread about any of our organizations hurts our league, our players, and our fans if we cannot simply let them go unchallenged. Thanks, blah, blah. Ty Snyder, thanks. All right.
Can I just say this real quick? You see how many lies that were in that letter? One of the biggest one was Tanya and I are always available to answer your questions. No, you're not. Dan Snyder pokes his head out when it's convenient for him, just like he's doing with these letters and these statements right now, because he's cornered. He's feeling like a caged animal right now. So he's scrambling. He's trying to get everyone to, look at me. But what he doesn't realize is no one believes him anymore. I mean, it's hard for Dan Snyder to find anyone that's going to believe anything he's saying at this point. So that's why I say he's scrambling. And the other part that made me laugh is the part about we are a part of this organization because we love the fans, the football game, and we're fierce competitors on the field. No, you're not. You haven't been for 25 years in your ownership. So, I mean, it's just these things, when he doesn't, it's just more evidence that he's just oblivious and not in touch with reality. And I just will be really glad when this is all over with.
Hey, by God's grace, it's over soon, man. All right, let's go ahead and move on, man. That was a little pivot from our traditional conversations here. Shout out to Rob, Marcus. I see you all in here. Will K Dot, man, he said this is better than talking about Heineke. Guess what? Guess what we about to do? You know what we about to do. And then Marcus, what's up, fellas? I know two voters who might vote Dan Snyder, one Jim Irsay. Then the second guy is the Giants owner. Snyder just sent out a letter, and okay. Y'all know why we here, man. Taylor Heinicke is now in at quarterback. Carson Wentz fractured his finger or broke his finger, had surgery in LA on Monday. Timetable, I would say, while it's not like a set time, I think it's safe to say minimum of 4 weeks for Carson Wentz. First off, let's get the initial reaction to Taylor Heinicke playing some substantive time with the as a starter here, and then we'll pivot from there and move on to some other topics, because apparently, from what I understand and what I heard today, is that somebody within the organization believes that Taylor Heinicke can open up the offense. So that needs to be discussed as well. So let's get Dre, kick this shit off, bro.
Hey man, you know what? It's actually
I gotta put that out tomorrow, bro. I'm putting that
like,
whole second.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I don't feel the way that AJ does about Heineke, but I do have to laugh at that
Of
statement.
course, because that's
I
your
don't-
son. That's
Well, I'm
why.
just saying, I don't hate the guy. I don't think he's trash like you think he's trash. I think he's a backup quarterback, and that's it. That's what I think of him. But I do think that statement is funny, and I don't think it's true. I don't think Taylor, because what have we heard all offseason when they got Carson Wentz? When we got Carson Wentz, they said, "Oh, now we can really open this playbook and do things that Taylor Heinicke couldn't do with his arm." So now Taylor Heinicke comes in because Carson hasn't looked good. You're telling us that you're going to open up the playbook. I mean, well, you didn't open it up last year with him. But what I do think Taylor allows you to do, he just gives you a little bit more flexibility as far as, oh yeah, he's going to run. He's going to be a little bit more mobile than Carson. He can, make plays. He's more of a gamer. Sure. But to say that he can open up the offense or they can open up the playbook a lot more, I think that's just false. And I think, more than anything, he probably saved Scott Turner from himself, because now Scott Turner isn't forced to call these deep balls with an offensive line that he can't do. So, I mean, that's the only thing I think he's going to do is just save Scott Turner from himself.
Hold on one sec. Because I want to make sure he got because I know we talked about the quote, the quote within the organization. I want to get your original thoughts too, before that came out, because that came out after the fact. What was your original thoughts when you heard that he was going to be playing some substantial time, at least a minimum of 4 games? Because obviously people's mindset shifted as well. So where are you at in terms of just Heineke playing altogether?
I mean, I'm not optimistic, because I just don't think this team is worth much this year. And Heineke is what he is. And we've seen Heineke. It's not like we're getting Heineke and we've never seen what he can do and he can play. The only thing I'll say is that, I think he may make the offense a little bit more interesting than Wentz did, because, he's going to probably be able to hit check downs at least. You're not going to get the deep ball threat with him that you got with Wentz. But like I said, I do think that right now he's probably the better option than Wentz for this offense. I don't know how much better that makes this offense. I don't think this takes this offense to the next level or anything, but I do think he's slightly a better option right now than Wentz is.
You got it, AJ. Yeah, that quote is laughable. That's why I had to interrupt and just laugh. I just feel like this staff or whoever these sources are, they just try to lie to the fans as if like they don't watch the game on Sundays, Mondays, or Thursdays. Like their eyes are deceiving them. Like we seen what Taylor Heinicke is last year, prior to last year and getting those starts. We only had seen him in one game, or 1.5 games, which was the season finale and then the playoff game against Tampa. And last year you got to see more tape put out there. Also, these coordinators know exactly what to expect from that offense. It's pretty much the same team, minus Jahad Dotson. I don't think Brian Robinson makes that much of an impact either. I just don't see him as like an impactful running back for this team yet, due to unfortunate circumstances. I just think, it's just Sundays just became even more or less interesting. Already was a bad team. Now you put this guy into the mix, and the worst part is, I think I said it, but they literally handicap his best attribute, which is being able to create outside of the pocket last year. So if they're going to restrict him to playing in the pocket, he's going to get killed out there. Like, he already isn't the tallest guy. And then he's not even going to have time, really. I don't really know him to be someone that gets the ball out quick. And I expected them to go for this move because, once again, they're not innovative enough. They don't really want to coach up guys. They want to take the easy route. There's nothing that anyone can tell me that Taylor Heinicke does better than Sam Howell. Nothing. The threat of no deep ball is going to have everybody just sitting back and killing these wide receivers when they get thrown the ball. And it's just going to be nasty. Like, this is just horrible. But, it is what it is. I guess we just got to watch Dre's son play Sunday against his childhood favorite team.
AJ, you act like you enjoyed watching Carson Wentz play. That's the funny part.
I didn't enjoy watching Carson Wentz play, but at this point, I didn't even know Carson Wentz was hurt. Like, honestly, after Thursday, I didn't really know until I think I was on Twitter Saturday, and maybe somebody hit me up and was like, "Oh, Carson Wentz might need surgery." I didn't even know he was hurt. That's how disinterested I was in Thursday's game, honestly. But for me, I just think that shit. This coaching staff knows who Taylor Heinicke is. You telling me that you can't trout out Sam Howell? Like, why are people trying to act like you got to protect the 5th round quarterback? Like, you don't have to protect that, man.
I think it's multiple angles, bro. Like, there's a couple. There's a sentiment, and I think it's important for us because I realize we say it a lot, so I want to make sure that people understand. Like, this ain't like a real life deal, like on the 24/7 basis. But a lot of people do, during their daytime, they're on social media, right? So when I say like the sentiment on social media, while it's not always based in like reality, like that's kind of like a day-to-day basis. You get a day-to-day basis feel of how fans are saying. And I bring that up to say there's a sentiment. There's not like people think that the coaches are like either protecting or disrespecting a player. Like, I remember there was this conversation. Actually, that's probably not gonna fit my argument, so disregard that. I'm about to bring up Dwayne Haskins. And I was like, nah, that shit ain't gonna work. But
man, Rex Ryan tried to do that this morning. Was like, oh shit, yeah, I probably should have even brought him up.
Yeah,
I defend himself like how I knew that Josh Allen was gonna be this. I told people that Baker Mayfield wasn't gonna be this. I told people about Dwayne Haskins. Oh shoot, damn, I probably shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave because I'm gonna lose the argument if I bring him up. But my point is, I think that the sentiment there, because there are several different things, right? And if I can try to remember everything properly or accurately, AJ, when you spoke on the coaching staff knows Taylor, and there's nothing that you can say, meaning just people generally, that can really convince you that Heineke is the better option than Howell. But I think it goes from different standpoints. Like, would you put it this way? You are a head coach, and answer this truthfully. Answer this without influence from everything else, everything from what we all know. Put yourself in this shoe, and I will allow you to answer it and elaborate as far as you want to. But you need to put yourself in this shoe. You are a head coach of a team in your 3rd year where you've had one new quarterback that you said, hey, I think this could be the guy for our offense. I mean, obviously this wasn't our number 1 guy, but I think we can work with him. The analytics told me we can do it. I'm convinced that we could do it. Damn, he playing like ass, and then he just broke his finger. Who am I going to put in after this point? I have this one guy who I've known for several years. He's been on my current team for the past year and a half, going on 2 years or 2.5 years. And then I got this rookie who I liked what I saw in preseason. He showed some flashes, but I know that he missed some things. He's also not protecting himself by getting the ball out of his hands quick enough on certain occasions. He's getting hit a lot in preseason, unnecessary hits. And I'm not too sure that we can put him in this spot 6 games into the season and try to figure out that if he can be the guy or not. I like what I see, but then I got this guy that I trust. My back is up against the wall. I'm fucking 2-4. I was about to be 1-5 if I didn't play Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. Who do I put in this moment right now to tell me I got to go win X amount of games to try to be in contention for the playoffs? Who am I going to put in? AJ, you're in the shoes right now. I laid everything out for you. What is your answer, and why is your answer what you chose?
I mean, I feel like I have to evaluate the whole situation, right? I have to trust that the player that I took with the 5th round pick, also who they were before the 2021 season, right? Like, I understand that this kid was potentially a top 10 pick in the NFL draft and then lost a whole bunch of talent around him. Also factor in when I am putting him in these preseason games, now that he's on our roster and learning our system, the things that we like to do and don't like to do, he is also playing with guys that are delivering Amazon Prime packages right now as we speak. So if I empower him and put him into the starting lineup alongside guys like the people that I trust in, Brian Robinson, J.D. McKissick, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Cam Sims, your tight ends, Antonio Gibson, I expect him to also be able to elevate his play more so than he did show me in preseason. Preseason wasn't that bad for him, but I already know what I have in Taylor Heinicke, and it's not sufficient enough, which led me to trading valuable picks to go get a questionable-ass quarterback in Carson Wentz. And here I am. I know Dre is going to talk on it, speak on it later on because I've seen his tweets, but you pretty much shitted on Taylor Heinicke this whole offseason. Now, I need you to go fix the issue at quarterback for possibly the next 4 or 5 games or whatever the case is, when I also took a quarterback in Sam Howell who has better arm strength than you, has played the position against higher bump competition than you ever have in a collegiate standpoint. Of course, Sam has never played an NFL regular season game, but I've seen what he's done against, guys that are in the league and succeeding and guys that got drafted pretty high this year. I have to go with the unknown in this situation. Like, I just feel like if I really empower my coaches to coach my guys up, a Zampezi to be a quarterback's coach, he can give me the in and outs on, what this guy's doing. I'm also seeing him in the scout team. Like, I'm seeing him scout team, so I know what he's doing.
That's what I was gonna say.
I don't really know if it's good or not. But if we're looking at, you break down the film every week, Mual, right? A lot of things that Carson Wentz is doing is holding on to the ball too long, not stepping up in the pocket, and not taking what's right in front of him. If you can have a guy that can just possibly do those basic things, he could possibly be successful. He may not come out here and throw for 350 yards, but a lot of these plays that Carson Wentz is missing, the ball's either too high or he's missing somebody in the flat or someone right in front of his face. I didn't necessarily see those type of things out of Sam Howell's play collegiately. Like, of course, things can change in the NFL, but this is also a team that trotted out a guy that was undrafted to play cornerback in Wild Goose. Like, this team has also trotted out other guys that have no experience to play D tackle. I mean, outside of quarterback, I think the next hardest position to play is corner. Is cornerback.
I was about to say, you gotta understand, because you just said it, but quarterback, bro, that's a different beast, bro. That's the team right there, bro.
Yeah, it's different, but I feel as though if I did the proper enough scouting of this guy that we drafted, I mean, we're not talking about, like, of course, a lot of people online are comparing Bailey Zappi. I mean, he played in West Kentucky. Yeah, I mean, and it's not really fair because Brian Hoyer had to get hurt in order for him to step up in that position. But we're talking about a guy who played either all 4 years at UNC, if I'm not mistaken. So he has a lot of football experience. He's seen a lot of ball. Like, I personally, if it was up to me and my call, and that's why I'm breaking it down and being this long-winded with it.
That's what you're supposed to do. That's why I posed it that way.
Yeah,
Dre getting in next.
So I don't come off as biased. But for me, I already know what I got in Taylor Heinicke, and it's not sufficient enough for what I want to do. And I also think I need a breath of fresh air. I'm hoping that Sam Howell can do that. If something happens to him along the way, so be it. I mean, he has to learn one way or another. Taylor Heinicke just got his first real starting reps repeatedly last year. So it's not like we're talking about a guy that's so experienced that has played in like 30, 40 games. We're talking about a guy who played in 15 games as a starter. So it's like, for me, it's an easy decision in my opinion if I'm Ron Rivera, because I'm also trying to create some type of new spark for this team. Like, this team know exactly who Taylor Heinicke is, and you guys have said to us that he ain't good enough, and you went and got Carson Wentz as his replacement. So now, we supposed to rally around this dude? Like, he could be cool and shit in the locker room.
Players love him, man. John Allen said that's our quarterback.
Because he's more relatable than, say, I mean, now with the roster, he's more relatable than Carson Wentz. Like, Taylor Heinicke out in DC smoking hookah, he at Rose Bar. Like, Carson Wentz is at your local church. Ain't nothing
Yeah,
wrong
he
with
had
that.
Trinidad with me, bro.
But it's two different lifestyles. So yeah, he's more relatable to a younger roster overall. But I feel like Sam Howell is a very relatable kid as well. I just think he needs an opportunity, and this was, the chance to possibly give him that opportunity. And instead, they went with the traditional thinking that they would, and here we are. Because I mean, if y'all not mistaken, I said that they should have traded or released Taylor Heinicke. Like
I
before
was with that
season.
last year. I had said, because I was telling Dre, I said, if he keep playing good, you need to dangle that man as trade bait. Because I mean, that was during the 4-game win streak. I was mentioning that part, because if they keep winning and he keep looking decent, you could trade him, you could flip it, make it an asset and things like that. But Dre, before you go, I just got one thing to mention, because as much as my argument appears to be for Taylor Heinicke, I personally think that and what I'm about to say now could be a longer discussion later. It don't have to be now, but I personally think that Sam Howell should get to play this year. I think that it will be a point where the season is ultimately going to come to an end, like mathematically, and I think that's when Sam Howell gets his opportunity. But also, there's pros for Sam playing, and there's one thing that I don't agree with the people who are so adamant that Taylor Heinicke needs to start, even with the context that he wasn't really protecting himself in preseason through being able to get rid of the ball quicker and seeing concepts a little bit quicker than what you should. He's a rookie, obviously. He has seen hits before. He has taken hits before that are not going to sit here and say that he can't do it on the NFL level. Like, rookies are going to be able to take hits. Any rookie is going to be able to take hits. At the quarterback position, you take the most of them in the NFL. I mean, excuse me, yeah, in the NFL and in college football generally. Like, he was a runner last year. Like, he had 800 yards rushing, and they also relied on him to run the football a lot. So for people who are concerned that Taylor Heinicke is going to get hurt or get battered back there, at the end of the day, the offensive line, first off, ain't that horrible to where you think that. I think what people aren't understanding is, like, there's a lot of factors for why the offensive line looked as bad as they did. Yes, the interior offensive line was bad, right? I'm not going to discredit that. But there's also several factors from the receivers to the quarterback itself and to the running backs that aren't really helping out in pass protection. So there's a lot of things that you got to factor into. And I think Sam Howell, you shouldn't have to coddle Sam Howell and say he can't play because the offensive line is bad. That's a damn lie. That's a damn excuse. But Dre, you got the floor. You're in the same scenario as AJ. You're the coach, man. Your back is against the wall, Dre. You're 2-4. You barely lost, or you barely beat the Bears, and it was an ugly game. You don't know who your quarterback is. You got this rookie on one side that you like. You saw some of the traits that you liked, and then you got this guy that you trust, and you don't know what your future entails for your team, the Washington Commanders. What side are you leaning? What side are you choosing, and why are you choosing this side?
Yeah, I mean, it's good that you phrase it as being a coach, because as a fan, I'll answer it a lot different. But as a coach, especially someone in Ron Rivera's position, I mean, you could be on the hot seat. I mean, possibly you could lose your job after this season. You're still not mathematically eliminated out of the playoff hunt. You're going to go with who you trust, and it's a guy who you saw last season. You won some games with him last year. I mean, so, you trust him a bit versus a rookie, first time in his office. I mean, this is a different office for him coming out of UNC. It was a lot of one read stuff up there. So he's learning how to be a pro right now. And I'm going with the guy I trust. If I'm the coach, if my job is on the line, I'm going with a guy I know. I know what he's capable of. I know what he's going to do. I know what his weaknesses are. I know what his strengths are. I know that he's not rattled, and he's not going to just completely go out there and throw up all over himself due to nerves. Like, he's not going to do that. With Sam Howell, you just frankly don't know what he's going to do when he gets out there in the field yet. Now, I mean, to AJ's point, yeah, I mean, and Jamal's point, you don't want to coddle him. I 100% agree with that. He's a 5th round pick. He's not a 1st round pick. You shouldn't be worried about that. I mean, he's a 5th round pick. You want to see what you have. But when you're still in a, playoff hunt, I mean, for Washington, and technically they are. I mean, it's the NFC. The NFC sucks right now. I mean, anybody technically is still in the playoff hunt in the NFC. So, I mean, this is talking from a coach's standpoint. Ron Rivera, obviously he still believes week in and week out his team is still in it. So he's going to go with the guy that he trusts. And if I'm the coach, I mean, I guess I agree with the same. I'm going to go with the guy I trust out there, you know, until it doesn't work anymore. You probably give Taylor Heinicke a 5 or 6 game leash. I mean, you know, we're assuming that Carson Wentz is done for the season or whatever the case may be. They don't want to put him back out there because of a snap count. But you give Taylor Heinicke a 4 or 5 game leash, and then if things go off the rails or they keep on the current pace that they're on, then you go to Sam Howell and you give him the rest of the season to see what you have for next year. See if you found the gem or a diamond in the rough. But right now, with this team still in it, and also, you know, I know AJ was mentioning you have to throw him out there, but we don't know what they see in practice. In practice, Howell may not look like he's ready to step on an NFL field for 4 quarters and play this game at a high level, you know? So, I mean, that's one of those things you have to factor in as a coach. Does he look ready? And, you know, if he does, I mean, sure. I mean, but if he's not looking ready, you don't want to throw him out there right now because it's just not good for anyone. And I do believe the locker room likes Taylor Heinicke. Like, I do believe that. Like, I mean, a lot of people say that, you know, behind the scenes. I listen to a lot of the guys like Kyle and them, and they say that guys love Taylor Heinicke and they will rally around him. I think Doc Walker, I don't know how true this is, but Doc Walker mentioned that if you would have skipped over Heineke and went straight to Howell, that would have pissed a lot of people off in the locker room. So, I mean, that's just, he has that rapport. I mean, I think it's more than just him being relatable and the fact that he'll smoke some hookah with someone. You know, I think that
I mean, when I say that, I'm just meaning like he has the same interests as a lot of those guys in the locker room. But I was just gonna say real quick, and you can continue with your point. Hey, Howell's one play away from being in the game at this point, so you might as well give him a shot.
That's if you have no choice. You know, I mean, if you have no choice, then you go that route. But right now you have a choice. So the choice is the guy that they trust. Now, like I said, when you don't have that choice, then yeah, Heineke, I mean, or Howell, he has to, and Ron mentioned this, he has to practice like he's ready to be a starter at any point. And, you know, apparently he's doing that, but we don't know how ready he is to be that. But right now, they're not ready to face that answer with Howell. You know, they want to go with the guy they trust at this point. And I get that from a coach's standpoint. Now, like I said, if you ask me from a fan standpoint, you know, I'm already kind of checked out of this season because of how it started. I'm like, hell yeah, go ahead and put Howell in. You know, why not? You know, but from a coach's standpoint, they're going to go with the guy they trust. You know,
let that motherfucker hit around a couple times. I pay to see that. Let him get ping pong.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, for my answer ball to your question, yes, if I'm the coach, I'm going with the guy I've seen already play, and I know his strengths and weaknesses. I know that he's a gamer in a sense, and you know I can trust him out there, and I'm still in it. I'm going with Heineke for now until he proves that you know he can't put this team any better in any better position than Carson Wentz did.
So Marcus mentioned in the chat, what's going on, Jay? What's going on, Corey? Appreciate y'all checking in. Marcus mentioned in the chat, Heineke's limited arm strength won't open up the playbook. And moving forward and progressive forward with this conversation, I think another thing that we need to think about also is what Carson Wentz, what Carson Wentz was presented with this season versus what Taylor Heinicke lacked last season. Taylor Heinicke didn't have the weapons that he had this year, or that Carson Wentz had this year. You didn't have a Jahan Dotson. Curtis Samuel was out basically a whole season. He played like less than 50 snaps, if I'm not mistaken.
Also, Logan Thomas.
Logan Thomas was in and out of the lineup last year. Essentially missed all of mid-November to the end of the year at that point. And this year you have athletes at tight end behind Logan Thomas, and Logan Thomas is still hurt this year again. But you have athletes, you got a decent running back and Brian Robinson for now. I do like him, but I'm saying decent because he's only played 2 games. Antonio Gibson, obviously, J.D. McKissick. J.D. McKissick was in and out of the lineup last year too. Like he wasn't there for Taylor Heinicke. But I think the biggest thing with Jahan Dotson, and I continue to say this, and I've said this for a long time, he can work all 3 levels of the field. And I think if you can get that one guy that you can trust on all 3 levels that can really be that safety blanket for a quarterback, he's your guy. I think that Cole Turner, albeit underutilized to this point, I think he can be your guy. I don't really trust him in a foot race, but he's getting open in the zones. And he's also beating man coverage like at the snap. Like That's when he wins in man coverage is at the snap. He ain't going to beat you in no foot race type of thing. My point is Taylor Heinicke is going to have weapons that generally a good quarterback or very good quarterback can benefit from. So I don't think that the book is closed on Washington being able to open up the offense if you have a guy who's now let me preface this because I do have the cons. I'm giving the pros right now. I don't see this as a guy who's going to hamstring what you can do with the weapons that you have. But I do think that this is going to be a quarterback who can hamstring how explosive you can be from air yardage from on a consistent basis. I've seen Taylor Heinicke throw a 30-yard ball, and it was good money. I've seen him throw a 40-yard ball that was good money. After that, you probably it's looking sketchy, and that ain't no good. But at the end of the day, like you're not going to be able to see him hit certain throws, and you're not going to be able to see him hit those throws on a weekly basis, even on a down in and down out basis if it's provided to him. He may opt for an easier throw. That's easier for him. But I think that with the weapons that Washington has, and I've stood by this before the season even started, like somebody, and I thought it would have been Carson Wentz because of what they wanted to do. Clearly, Scott Turner got in the way and the offensive line got in the way. But this is, and obviously Carson Wentz got in the way. But the weapons are there for Washington. How do you utilize it? And maybe when they say open up the offense, they see a guy, Taylor Heinicke, who knows how to work that short level and that intermediate level and who can live in that short and intermediate level, and who could thrive off play action. That's kind of where I'm at in terms of like saying what they mean by open up the offense. There's opportunities there. The weapons are there. It really comes down to quarterback, and I don't know. Maybe that's what they're saying with this open up the offense quote. Hey, I can keep going. I'm telling you, I can keep going with this boy Taylor, man. But nah, for real though, I think I'm about to say I think that when it comes to this, like I think one of the bigger things too that I won't forget. I think it was Kevin Sheehan. Somebody he had a source in the organization who had said, "This is a 13-win offense." And he said that before the season started, and I'm like,
he said that, yeah,
and I'm sitting here like, all right, bro, it sounds good, but something missing here. Like, who is telling you this information? Because this is a little bit too optimistic. You got a 13-win offense. Like, you're that confident in a guy who has struggled over the last 2 years to stay on the team, and you think that whoever is selling him this information, you think that you're that confident that Carson Wentz is gonna come out here and fucking balls to the wall, top 5 offense type of thing. They weren't a top 5 offense after that Detroit game, and that Detroit game came in the second half. My point in bringing that up is, as much as they want to say that Taylor Heinicke can open up the offense, as much as they say that Carson Wentz presents and the weapons surrounding him presents a 13-win offense, I think that there's a lot of things that needs to be settled with the coordinator side as well, and maybe stabilize that offensive line, which I think that they're going to be able to do with Tyler Larsen at center now. But I think that there's several things that's going under the radars or under the rug with this offense and the opinions behind this offense, regardless of who's at quarterback. I don't think Sam Howell's going to be able to open up things right away. I think he'll take some of those learning curves. And I also think that Taylor Heinicke is going to limit the offense in the way in which Scott Turner envisioned it being. I don't think you can attack that third level consistently when you have a guy who struggles to really push the ball downfield as easily as Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I mean, overall, like you said, it's multi-layered. It's not just the poor quarterback play out of Carson Wentz, but it's also poor offensive play calling. Like I say it a lot. It's an art to play calling, like being steps ahead, and that's just not something that Scott Turner had.
AJ went out.
I mean, I don't know. Is it? It got to be Stevie Wonder because. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we good.
Hear me? Yeah, I guess Kevin Sheehan's source must be Stevie Wonder because they damn sure ain't saying shit. for the simple fact that they think that it's a 13-win offense. I mean, they weren't even moving the ball with Carson Wentz at quarterback before his hand got hurt. So, yeah, I don't know. At some point, you got to simplify things when you know that this person can't do certain things, and I just didn't see that from Scott. And last year, when we did, unfortunately have to be forced to watch Taylor Heinicke play quarterback, they didn't really create outside of the pocket for him. Like I said, they didn't take advantage of his biggest strength, which is being able to move outside the pocket, extend plays. Like, they never did that. And now with the backup being Sam Howell, I don't see them doing that unless they just let Taylor Heinicke be who he is and play some backyard football a little bit. Like, you might need that to help this offense look a little bit better. You need somebody that can play off script because obviously, Carson was trying to stay on script, wasn't doing anything much for this team. But yeah, I mean, it's just an overall bad team. And
serious question though, and I want Dre, you can answer this as well in your response. How does a person? I just realized this. How does a person who one source says this should be a 13-win offense, or this is a 13-win offense, and then another source says that Taylor Heinicke is going to. Now I don't remember where this came from, so maybe anybody in the chat or maybe you all can help me out. I don't remember. I heard it today, so I'm not lying, but I just don't remember where it came from. Like, they're saying that Taylor Heinicke can open up the offense. My thing is, how does a person come across with these wildly optimistic opinions and not say, not look at the coordinator in terms of his job security when this shit ain't working out on the field? Like, how do you continue to say these things? Like, are they getting information from the same people? Because, oh my God, there's no way that you can say these things and just not look at the coordinator or just yourself. I don't know, but the coordinator for sure, because it's getting put out there to the national airwaves and national media and local fans and things like that. And your offense is underperforming. But yeah, it just dawned on me, like, how do you not get even more scrutiny than what you're getting, Scott Turner, for the stuff that people are saying about how the offense should look?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I was actually going to mention that, Mual, about the whole, that quote that you had mentioned earlier versus the 13-win quote. And I'm like, at this point, they just need to stop talking. Whoever these anonymous sources are, I mean, it's lucky that they're anonymous at this point. I mean, because no one believes you anymore. It's like I said about Snyder earlier. Snyder keeps putting out stuff, but no one's on his side anymore. At this point, the fans are watching this offense every week. They're seeing pure shit. They're seeing trash out there. And yet you still have to come up and try to get fans back on your side or I don't know, get fans optimistic again by saying these little quotes, but no one's believing it at this point. Like, I mean, we've seen the offense barely be able to pick up a first down. I mean, they've gone a whole first half without a first down. They went to the Bears and we had to wait to the fourth quarter before they got a touchdown. And now you're sitting up here telling us, oh, that's all it takes is this Taylor Heinicke guy. He's going to come in here and it's going to open everything up and we're going to start scoring points again. We don't believe you. Like, just stop talking, even if it's anonymous at this point. Like, I mean, all you're doing is just feeding fuel to the fire and pissing us off even more. Like, you're insulting us at this point. Show us. Don't tell us anything.
You know what it might be. I mean, I don't listen to a lot of sports talk radio. These motherfuckers is making up their own stories, their own fake sources. When you say sources, that could be anybody, because I don't even believe Taylor Heinicke's agent would hit Kevin Sheehan or any media outlet in Washington D.C. and say some bullshit like that. Like, you got to be making this stuff making this stuff up in your head. And if someone had the nerve, the audacity, what does Stephen A. say? He said something about
unmitigated gall.
Mitigated gall. If they have the mitigated gall to say that to you, you got to check them, and you should never bring it onto your platform because that's stupid. Like, Joe Burrow has all the weapons in the world, and he ain't winning 13 games. So you gonna tell me Taylor Heinicke from Old Dominion University? Nah, bro. That's what I don't know. Like, these dudes just be making up their own sources. Like, yeah, I'm gonna get on the airline today and say, yeah, with Taylor Heinicke, this team could be a 13-win team, and I'm gonna say sources. No way.
Hey,
Like you need more people, Chris Broussard.
Hey, not, but on a serious note, because I think what was this August, Dre, July, that one. There's two different things. I think the first one was about Carson Wentz. First one was about Carson Wentz. Even still, I think the 13-win offense had a lot to do. The way they phrased it had a lot to do with what was surrounding Carson Wentz. And then obviously Carson Wentz was the last piece. So ultimately, I think if it went from 13 with Carson, it's probably like a 10-win offense in their opinion with Taylor. So all that being said, that's still problematic.
But hold up. But
there's no
you
way
know
around
what?
it.
They say 13-win offense, but they didn't say 13-win team with this offense. Yeah. They just said 13-win offense. Like this offense alone can win you 13 games, but the defense might lose you some. So now you might have to scale it all the way back.
Man, I challenge the offense to score 13 points.
Yes.
Shit. Forget 13.
Hey, no, before, and I'm sure it's going to be even lower now, but before the Bears game, they were at 11.9 per game, 11.9 points per game over that 4-game losing streak.
Well, they had 3 games under 13 points. I think they had like 8 against the Eagles, 10 against the Cowboys, and then 12 against the Bears.
I'm about to send Kevin Sheehan an email and be like, hey, bro, you need to tell that source, whoever told you it's 13 wins, tell them, make sure they average over 13 points. Like, that's what we need. That's what we need. Okay. Fellas, hey, Roger, I see you. Great with Watubi. Threw me off with that one, but I'm gonna try my best with that name. And then blah blah, I see you in here as well. Blah blah said after everyone complaining on socials about Carson not adjusting to the line, we've seen a little bit of it. Curious to see if Taylor does more, or is it a Scott Turner issue? I can say 70% or 80% of it is Scott Turner. Roger checked in. The energetic Roger brings that energy all the time. Said it's Turner and his dumbass schemes and play calling. Okay, Roger, I love to hear it. Watubi said, is this a Wentz line or Scott Turner issue? For sure, we will find out. That's a fact. And then Hawk checking in. I see you, big dog. Appreciate you checking in. And then he said, I think it's a Scott Turner issue as well. All right, so that's gonna wrap it up for us today. A long conversation about Taylor Heinicke and his goddamn offense. It was needed for the short term. We will have a game preview this upcoming Thursday between Packers and Commanders. We'll have a guest on to give us the Packers side. This is going to be an interesting conversation because I'll be scrolling through the Packers Twitter, through some of the people that I follow, fellas, and I've come across tweets where they're saying, they're trying to get rid of, they're over Aaron Rodgers. Like, they, not that he sucks, but that they just want a clean slate. They're sick of Aaron Rodgers. So I don't know exactly what's going on out there, but we're going to figure it out on Thursday when we talk to the guy that we have scheduled in at 7:30. And the fellas will be back to preview, like I said, Commanders, Packers. I will be back tomorrow for the Commanders morning show. Film breakdown on the defense. We ain't even going to focus on the offense. I have several findings, but the defense is going to be more alarming because goddamn Aaron Rodgers in town, and they got blessed that they played Justin Fields this past week. So morning show tomorrow, all 32 tomorrow evening. So that's it. All the administrators out of the way, fellas. Y'all enjoy y'all Tuesday night NBA opener. I don't know if you watching, AJ. I know Dre about to be locked in for sure.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna tap in. I'm gonna tap in after this last recording for that Lakers and Warriors game. So y'all be safe, man. Enjoy y'all night, man. And then I'll catch you all on Thursday.
Peace.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all. Y'all be safe. We out of here.